Tuesday. All right, let's see if we can get some 5x5s so you guys can hear me and see me and we don't lose internet or lose power in the middle of this. Waiting for my computer. I don't know. Let's see. Okay, healthy distance is 5x5. I can see me. That's good. Undercover, Aqua Drop, Finley the dog, Lucky Dame, Michael Carroll, Pennsylvania Mama Bear, Don Quest, Farm Ranch, good deal. Okay, you guys can see me. And you guys can hear me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but here we are. So, happy Tuesday night from a soggy East Tennessee. Not that I'm complaining. Trust me, we needed the rain. We got about 2 inches according to the rain monitor outside in the last 36 hours, and we're supposed to get more, and I'm happy because water's going in the pond. I could still use another foot of rain. I think that's about what I need, but we'll see what we get. But it's supposed to literally, according to the Weather Channel, which you guys know as well as I do, is never right. It's supposed to rain basically every day between now and the 4th of July. So how much we get, who knows, but I'll take whatever we get. Just like I said to Mrs. P, when I got to get out and mow, it's going to be, I need goats. So we have made it, we, believe it or not, did not lose power, which shocked me that we didn't have any power outages through all of this. Yeah, good thing. So, yeah, other than that, weather-wise, we get to watch this tropical storm now in the Atlantic. I guess it's about to hit the lower Antilles here later this week in Puerto Rico. So we'll see if that makes a abrupt turn and heads north. But could have a hurricane next week. We'll see what happens. Hopefully not hurricane damage, but we could have more rain from it, which I'm not going to complain about. Before we get into the fun stuff, I have sent out all the envelopes for these things that I have. I went to the post office this morning, and everything that came in Friday and Saturday I sent out in today's mail. So everything I have received, I have gotten. So if you sent something out late last week, it did not arrive. I had no mail today. I still have about 50 of these if you guys want them. Like I said, just send me self-addressed stamped envelope, $5 a piece. I can get 2 in an envelope. So if you wanted more than 2, thank you for sending me 2 envelopes or whatever it would be. Because we don't want it to go insufficient postage and return back to me. So always set. But I've still got about 50 if anybody wants some. So small bag. But I got them. All right. I guess what's on everybody's mind is kind of what I talked about at lunch today for a few of you guys that saw that. Hunter got off scot-free today. You got to love that. You know, it's 2 counts of tax evasion, misdemeanors, and got basically nothing for it. Only had a $1.2 million in back taxes that he hasn't paid for 6 years. That's finally paid. Hunter got a slap on the wrist for it. You guys remember Wesley Snipes? Yeah, he went to jail for 6 years or less. Okay, just to give you that as an idea. And then, of course, the one that Hunter's having basically toned down, the felony of lying on his ATF form when he bought a gun. You know, you think about it. If any of us lied on the forms when we were buying our handguns or rifles or whatever it would be, or didn't pay our taxes for 6 years, we'd be in jail. But not if you're a Biden, because being a Biden has privileges. Membership in the family has privileges. Unless, of course, you are the bastard daughter, you know, because of, you know, I love, if you guys saw James Woods made a great comment yesterday. There was a headline, I think it was on Fox, said, Hunter Biden is trying to avoid paying child support to his ex-stripper baby mama. And James Woods came back and says, why doesn't the headline say former crack addict fails to pay child support to the mother of his child? You know, why don't you identify him for the piece of trash he is rather than try to downplay who the mother is? You know, it's just, Fox has completely gone in the toilet. You know, if you saw Donald Trump's interview with Brett Baer. Donald Trump just completely schooled Brett Baer on it. Fox is trash. You know, there's no talent left there to speak of anymore. The last few good ones are jumping ship quick. So, but yeah, so that was the big news of the day. Unless you want to talk about the submarine that is sunk, viewing the Titanic. I mean, can you imagine that you're in this tiny little submarine that seats 5 people, has 96 hours worth of air in it, and all of a sudden you're lost at sea? I mean, can you imagine sitting in there right now? About now, it's got probably about 32, 33 hours of air. Can you imagine sitting in this thing going, there's no way out because you're 12,500 feet deep, okay? And you've got 30 some odd hours worth of air left. Can you imagine that? People say, how long do I have to live, Doc? 6 months, 18 months. How long do you have to live? 31 hours. Imagine that. That's some scary stuff right there when you're looking at that. Not knowing if you're ever going to be rescued. Not knowing if you're going to be one of the ones that's at the bottom of the Atlantic with the rest of the people from the Titanic from 100 years ago. Was it 111 years ago? Was it 1912? I think somewhere around there. Yeah. Interesting. So, but that was pretty much the extent of it and that fun stuff. And then, of course, you had Nancy Mace out today talking about all the evidence they have against good old Uncle Joe and his corruption. So it's just one of those things. I'm sick and tired of hearing all the speeches and the tweets and I'm on the news talking about this. Where's the damn impeachment? Let's get that going. No more investigations. You guys have investigated so much crap already. Let's put the pedal to the metal and start doing this. 6.5 years of investigations on Joe Biden so far, and they can't come up with anything. 3 months of investigations on Donald Trump, and boy, they had impeachment going already, right? Yeah, let's see. Stop talking, start acting. Otherwise, start packing in 2024. It's at least my point. Yeah, there you go. There's what's on my mind today. So, all right, let's get into the fun stuff tonight and Q&A. For all those of you guys that are new here, I'll kind of go over how we do things. Tuesdays and Saturdays are live Q&A. Get a chance to hear what's on your guys' mind. You ask me questions, and we discuss what you want to talk about. If you have a question for me, please put it in all caps, just like every other YouTube channel out there. That way I can scroll through the chat a lot faster and see what the questions are. Okay. Nothing's off limits. We've talked about everything from economics to politics to gardening to fishing to hunting to God knows what. I don't have all the answers, guys. I've never professed to. There's a lot of things you guys ask I don't know. So what I always say is pay attention to the chat, because inevitably there's somebody in the chat who can answer your question. So that's kind of why this whole family works so well together, is because we all help each other. It's not just me trying to answer questions. It's everybody trying to help each other. That way we all get a little better prepared. The only thing I ask/require is that you treat everybody else in here with respect. Okay, disagreement is fine. I have no problem with that. You guys disagree with some of the stuff I talk about in videos. That's cool. As long as you do it respectfully, I'm fine with that. I like hearing other people's opinions. Okay, but when you come up and say, you're wrong, why? Okay, explain your point. Okay, dialogue. But if you go into, you're an effing idiot for saying that, you don't get a second chance, okay? The moderators in here have all been with me for at least pretty close to, or at least 2 years already. They're really good at policing the riffraff out of here. So if you want to be rude, hit the X button now, okay? If you want to have a little bit of fun for the next 52 minutes, just keep it PG-13 and polite. That's all I ask. All right, so let's scroll up to the top and let's see what's on y'all's mind, and we'll see how active you can keep my brain for an hour. All right. Okay, let's see. AD Sunshine, good evening. My PayPal was hacked and took a chunk from my second checking account. I always have multiple accounts. Okay, in a case like that, make sure you get a hold of PayPal and make sure you get a hold of the bank. One of the two of them, or if not both of them, should make you whole within 24 hours. Okay, that is their responsibility to protect their platforms. You're not just, gee, I'm out 100, 1,000, whatever dollars is. You get a hold of them and say this was not authorized. They are responsible for it. So make sure you take care of that. Fun guy, Pinball, I'm really sorry to hear that you were robbed recently. Well, if you watched the video, what it was how we've all been robbed by Social Security, and how I ran through the numbers on off of my income, what I've put in over my lifetime and what I could potentially get out, versus if they would have done what they were supposed to do with that money, invested it the way they were supposed to, and what I could feasibly get at that point. Pretty much all of us are getting paid 50% of what we should have. Okay, just telling you. So, if you're getting a $1,500 check, thank your senators, thank your congressmen for pissing away all the money, because you should be getting $3,000. If they wouldn't have robbed the Social Security Trust Fund back under Lyndon Johnson and screwed all of us. This is why it was all supposed to be put there in a trust and saved literally for you. Okay, and since the late 60s, it's turned into a massive Ponzi scheme where our kids are working to pay off our Social Security, and there aren't enough kids to meet with the amount of adults. So the money that we put in, you can just wave bye-bye to. All the millennials saying, well, Social Security is not going to be there. Yeah, they should be pissed about it too, because they're paying into it, but it's because these incompetent thieves in Washington stole all their money. Frugal Family Farmhouse, how can I get rid of moles in my garden ASAP? Get a cat, get a terrier of some sort of dog, that are mousers or moles or anything like that, something that's going to chase rodents. There really isn't a good way other than to run the food chain, I guess, if you will. You got to get a predator in for them. Which is going to be cats or a Westie or a Yorkie or something like that goes after them. That'll go after the rodents. It's not as simple as go out and put rat poison out there or something. You could, but who knows what you're going to kill at that point too. Your dog gets into rat poison, not going to do your dog any good. KP Tiger, what causes a tomato plant to turn yellow? Well, there's multiple things. If it is not getting enough nitrogen, if it is getting too much water, both of those would be my first two guesses. If you've got depleted soil or you're overwatering. After all this rain we got here lately, yeah, that's possible. Okay, but I need more specifics on it, but those would be my two guesses at this point of year, what chances are. It could be blight, it could be some sort of disease, but depending on where you are, depending on how big your tomatoes are, or your tomato plants are, I'm going with either poor nitrogen content in your plants or overwatering. Nanny Tam, my Cherokee purple tomatoes is stunted growth but already has blooms. Should I snip the blooms? When you say stunted growth, did you trim the tops to it? Because if you did, that'll cause it to be bushy. So what caused the stunting to it? If it's just a young plant, it hasn't had a chance to grow yet, which again, depending on where you are, is very possible. You're north of me. My cherry tomatoes are just starting to bloom, and they're about 5 feet high. Okay. Cherokee purples obviously is a full-size tomato. If they're short, yeah, I'd probably snip the blooms off, because other than that, you're only going to get a couple of tomatoes on them. You need to get those tomatoes some nitrogen to get some green growth going on. Okay. Gina HT, and they paid to go into that thing. Absolutely crazy. I've heard it's anywhere from $125,000 to $250,000 to be buried at sea. So, yeah, no thanks. Okay, moving on through. Delta Prepper paid off my house today. Congratulations. Time to ramp up my preps. Cheers, everyone. Very, very, very good news. Okay. Where you're really going to realize it is next month, the first of the month, when you go, damn, there's more money in the checkbook than I'm used to for the first time in 30 years. You know, that's when it hits home going, holy crap, I wish I would have been able to do this years ago. Lorna, those people who were in that submersible were also intentionally sealed in with 17 bolts. No way to open it from the inside. What I don't understand is why there isn't some beacon on there that is completely separate from any of the other electrical systems on it whatsoever, just in case something like this happens. Because the CEO of the company said last year he was worried about something like this happening. I mean, that tells you a lot. I mean, wait for the lawsuits against this company. But yeah, I mean, you do stuff like that, you take your chances. That's all I can say. Ewok Jerky, thank you for the super chat. Gopher Hawk works for moles and voles. I have 3 cats and they only catch them by luck. Okay, there's your answer. I've never heard of Gopher Hawk, whether it's a product, whether it's a bird, I don't know. But there you go. Look into Gopher Hawk. There might be your answer. Yeah, Delta Prepper, that's too cool, paying off your house. I know that's a great feeling. Motimer, hey Pinball, when I fill out my IRS 1040, do I put bribes under additional income? I don't know. Maybe you should get some tax advice from Hunter. No, wait a minute. Don't do that. He doesn't pay taxes. He's a Biden. Yeah. Where would you put bribes under? Yeah, I don't know who to ask. I mean, I think of about 535 people who probably have an answer to you, but nice question. Healthy disrespect for authority. What pest eats the leaves off squash plants, not even the stalks? Okay, so you don't have vine borers, you don't have squash bugs. You've got to have. It's not going to be aphids. You've got to have some sort of caterpillar that's on there. I get some BT and spray. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of is you've got a caterpillar on there. Get some BT, some caterpillar killer, and spray your squash with that. That would be my best. Because if they're eating the leaves, that chances are that's butterflies or moths or something has laid eggs on your squash. Roddy's rule, whole new way to pay for your own funeral and cost $250,000 to do it. And to top that off, you get to watch your countdown to death. Just no, but a big hell no. Yeah, that's about it. And nobody has to visit the casket because it's closed. Let's see. Carrie S. Pinball, thoughts on China building a base in Cuba? All right. So you saw my video this morning. And like I said, the Chinese are backdooring their way into it. The Chinese are the ones that are, pumping all this fentanyl into Mexico and paying the cartels to bring it into the United States. I mean, we've talked about for well over a year that the Chinese are just chomping at the bit, waiting to take over the United States. They don't want to, I mean, they know, and I've talked about this before, trying to fight a war on U.S. territory is an exercise in futility, okay? How long it would take, you can't supply your troops. You're not gonna bring ships with tanks and men and ammunition and food and whatever supplies you need, across the Pacific, and nobody's going to notice. Okay, so they've got to come in from somewhere. So you have them coming across the southern border. I mean, you got to remember, we have tons of Chinese coming across the southern border right now. China is a very restrictive country. They don't just let people go wherever they want. Okay, so either those people have escaped China, which is not exactly easy, okay, or they are being sent here to infiltrate the country. China's got troops in Canada. China's got a boatload of troops in Central America, South America, and Mexico. Now they're putting something in Cuba. All they're doing is getting everything set for when we implode, whether it's Chinese EMP, whether it's a hack on our grid, whether it's just they're looking at this going, another year and a half under Biden, that should do it. They want to come in and pick up the pieces. They don't want a conventional war shooting people and stuff like that. They just want to come in and go, hi, we're the cleanup crew. That's all. So just, buying up farmland, buying up businesses, whatever. The Chinese are just trying to take over the United States, and we're letting them. That's the stupid part. Marcia Clark, are you going to participate in any future prepping conferences? If so, which would you consider? Are you talking about meetups or something like that? I don't even know of any. I mean, the only group meeting I know that goes on is Travis does one once a month on Sundays in Missouri. And I mean, it would be a 12-hour drive for me to get there. So no, that's not happening. I mean, if there was one relatively nearby, yeah, I'd consider it, but it all depends on where and when and who. Okay. Janet Cook, yellow tomato plants need help. Okay, I talked about that a little earlier as to it's either water or nitrogen, and we shot down to the bottom. That was a very end question, so let me go way back up here to the top. How far do I have to go? Okay, there we go. Let's see. Tiaza Dobbs, best time of the year to get starts off your blackberry vines. I've read both spring and fall. You want to do it, okay, how to explain, because you got to remember, raspberries and blackberries grow fruit on second year wood, okay? If you go out and look at your blackberries, your raspberries now, you will see the canes that are going to be brown, and then you will see green branches coming off of it. The green branches will not produce this year. That is the wood that's going to produce next year. So you don't want to do it in the spring. You want to take those green branches this year in the fall, root them, plant them for next year. And next year, that will be your brown wood that might fruit, but it will give you the new green wood. But yeah, you want to wait till fall, but you gotta know what you're doing. The easiest way to do it, as long as you're not trying to move your raspberries or something like that, is do something to the little, they look like this, but you use they're like big staples that you hold down landscaping fabric or whatever it is. Put those over those green stalks on your raspberries and let them touch the ground. They'll root right there and give you a new stalk from that. That's the easiest. Now, if you're trying to transplant it, then you need to do it the other way I talked. But if you're trying to spread your stalks out, use those little stakes, put them down to the ground, let it root right there, and it'll go from there. Renee Rupert, what does my shirt say? No snowflakes. Let's see. Acushnet Prepper, how am I doing with the archery lessons? Well, we haven't done anything with the archery as of yet because we were out on rifle range the other day, and since then it's basically been raining, so we haven't got much to do of anything outside lately. Little Bitty, we still on target for digital come July. We never have been on target for digital in July. This is the biggest lie being told all over the internet. We are not going to CBDC July 1st, like so many people try to say. FedNow is not CBDC. End of story. Do not pass go. Do not collect $100. Okay. FedNow, all it is, which is supposed to come out in July, is a instant clearinghouse between banks. So you think about now, when you take a check to the bank and the bank says, we have to hold this check for 3 days or whatever before it clears. What FedNow changes that, so they put it in the system and the check instantly clears and your funds are available right away. That's what FedNow is. Now, is it a precursor to a setup for digital currency? Yes. Is it digital currency? It has nothing. There's no digital currency whatsoever. So in regards to we still on target, we never have been on target for digital currency in July. Like I said before, I don't ever see digital currency happening, at least in the United States, because everywhere it's been tried around the world so far, it's failed. The people don't want it. And the people in the US are a lot more demanding than the people in other countries that have tried it. Okay, we're a lot more hard-headed. So, personal opinion, we won't see CBDC. Let's see. Seriously, what is my favorite flavor of ice cream? I would have to say probably Heath Bar Crunch. That's probably my favorite. I love Heath Bars. So, let's see. Voice of Truth, Pinball, why is the stock market still hot? The stock market is way overpriced, okay? When we've got companies trading at 130, 140 times earnings, that's insane, all right? There's no way it should be there. It's complete speculation, and companies are not trading on earnings. They're not trading on forecasted earnings or anything like that anymore. They're trading, the stock market's trading completely on emotion. And that'll all blow up. I mean, it's like the question, why is gold and silver down? I mean, gold's down, what, 1935 an ounce? Silver's down right about 23 and change, I think. They're both down. It makes no sense. The dollar's getting, well, let's put it this way. The dollar is getting stronger compared to the rest of the currencies around the world, which are getting weaker, which is the reason the dollar is getting stronger. Okay. But why is the stock market too hot? It's complete speculation. It's not trading on fundamentals whatsoever at this point. I just keep watching this going, it's a fool's errand to be investing in a stock market right now. Kathy WC, just finished 1 Second After. It was a great book. Thank you for the recommendation. Now go read 1 year after, or was it 1 day after? I forget what the second was. One of them's, was it 1 year after and then the final day? And then I guess there's the one coming out in a month or so. It's called 5 years after. So we'll see what happens. That one obviously nobody's read yet. But read the other two because the story continues. Susan Lathrop, have I read A American's Survival Series? No, I have not. Roddy's Rule, find a good black snake. It'll take care of voles, moles, mice, and rats. Yeah, well, just make sure you kind of stay away from a black snake. Black snake doesn't particularly care for people, all right? Rat snake is fine. Rat snake won't care about you at all. It'll do the same. Black snake, just leave it be. It'll leave you be. You piss it off, it will come after you. Let's see. We're gonna go to the bottom again, and I gotta find where we are. Okay, close. Jeffrey S. Now that I have a fire safe, what prep items should I store besides money, 20 by 15? Okay, certainly, like I said, you've got cash. Any important paperwork, your birth certificate, your passport, your marriage license, absolutely all that stuff needs to go in there, okay? Something that's going to be ID. Anything that you have, I will give you this one. This is one everybody forgets all the time. A spreadsheet or whatever with the passwords to all your bank accounts, all your bills, everything like that. Because if something happens to you, you go out to the store today, get in a car accident, and God forbid, get hit by a car, okay, and your wife or your kids or whoever is going to have to go through and find, your assets, chances are they don't know what your bank account number is, if they even know what bank you do business with. If something like that is in there, they can go, oh, dad's got an account at Chase, dad's got an account at Bank of America, dad's brokerage account is with Ameritrade, whatever it is, here's the password so I can get into each one of his accounts. Okay. Something like that, very important. Any of your precious metals, obviously that goes in a safe. You're talking about a 20 by 15. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence on whether or not you want to put, a weapon of some sort in the safe, because again, remember, if you got to bug out real quick, the advantage of having a safe little one like that is you can just pick the whole thing up and go with it. You're not going to be trying to open the damn thing. You just grab the whole thing and go. Uh, you know, it's an extra weapon you have in there. But certainly any sort of important paperwork, precious metals, all that sort of stuff. But the big one everybody forgets is a list of all your accounts that you've got wherever. And make sure somebody else, whoever your heir is, has the combination to the safe, or knows where the key is, the emergency key or something like that you have hidden. Sue Cook, we have had so much rain in Mobile. Now, what to do now for fire ants in my raised bed? I don't have a fire ant problem. And from watching Danny and Wanda, who are obviously in Mississippi, so close enough by, there's not a whole lot you can do for fire ants. I mean, people will say, pour diesel on it or something like that, but you're going to poison your whole bed, so you don't want to do something like that. I mean, maybe destroy the hill. Take a shovel, dig it in there, and destroy the hill. But make sure you got gloves on or whatever, and destroy the hill. Drop the shovel, and leave. Von Mousetrap, first year growing cantaloupes, do they get vine borers too? Do I thin the vines to produce more fruit? Yes, they can get vine borers. And now thinning the vines, I'm going to give you cucumbers and melons and things like that. You got to be careful with how you thin the vines, okay? You're going to have your main growth stem. You're going to have your sun leaf, okay? And this is everything's going to come out of the main growth stem, but you're going to have four things. You're going to have, I just want to call them tentacles. I can't think of the name of the thing, brain fart. The little deal that'll spin around and grab your trellis. Those three you want to keep, okay? You will also see in between your main growth stem and your sun leaf, you'll see in here a little growth, just like a sucker on a tomato. Those you want to pinch off, okay? Because that'll cause your cantaloupe plant to get bushy. You don't want that. You want that cantaloupe plant to grow up so it can be strong. Hopefully you've got it on a trellis or something like that. Once it gets up to the top of the trellis, then you can leave those little growths in the middle and then let it bush out over your trellis. But don't let it bush out first and not go up. And cucumbers are the same way. Let's see. See a whole bunch of congratulations in here. Something happens, unless this is all for Delta Prepper again. I'm guessing okay, it is. All right. Dear Mama, how about sending some rain to South Texas? We're getting it from that way. You guys are finally sending it to us. Thank you. Watch all these thunderstorms in Oklahoma, thunderstorms in Texas. I'm like, yeah, it looks like a freaking desert in Tennessee. It'd be nice things finally get some water around here. I'm happy. Chris Crusader, was Trump's lawyers were Trump's lawyers on that submarine? Yeah, no kidding. That was kind of the joke we had around here this morning. It's like, gee, who'd Hillary want to kill this time? Dale from Ohio, Ocean Gate CEO is one of the passengers. Okay. I thought I heard that. I wasn't sure. Okay, so thank you for confirming that. But yeah, so he was the one that said he was worried about it. Then he gets on the submarine and yeah, he's sitting there in the middle of this where everybody's going, I got 31 hours of air left. He's going, I told you so. I told you so. Ugh. CHS Tennessee Inside Edition on CBS said they paid 250 grand. Okay. Member Barry, tons of green tomatoes, none turning red yet. Been weeks and nothing. Any recommendations? Fried green tomatoes? I've heard of this happening to people. I don't know. I don't have an answer for how to turn them red. I mean, I know the grocery stores use some sort of chemical that they, put bananas near tomatoes or something like that, and the gas that the banana lets off turns the tomatoes red. That's what it is. There's a certain gas that's let off, but how to create that out in your garden, I have no idea. We all live in a yellow submarine. Okay. Yeah, I think we all live a little bit more in helter-skelter, but that's beside the point. The cute one, put bribes under tips. There you go. All right, I can see the comic in all of you is coming out a little tonight. Let's see. Bribes go under miscellaneous. Keith Snyder, if you want to stay out of jail, you don't put your bribes anywhere. It goes under haircut or nail income. Yeah, tell that to Joe. I mean, okay, well, I had, you can always put it under your book deal, I guess, because how do you hide $30 million? I cut 3 million people's hair for $10 a piece. Could you imagine Joe with a pair of scissors near your head? Janet Forster, I picked my first pinball cucumber today. So excited. There you go. I've got flowers on my English cucumbers, so I'm happy there. But yeah, I'm not that close yet. Prep Rebel, a gopher hawk in my area is a small falcon. Okay, they are awesome, but the ravens always chase them away from my area, leafhoppers or caterpillars. Okay, I've never heard of a gopher hawk, so you're answering my question there. Thanks. Okie Ranch wife. There's a nice typo. Bribes, I'm assuming you mean, and not brides. Go on Schedule 1 form for additional income. Let's see. Okay, if we got brides on my schedule, let's see. If I marry 6 people, that would be my additional income. Nice typo. Scatterbolt. Groundhogs love to eat squash plants. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Somebody asked about squash before. It could be rabbits or groundhogs, or you could have critters rather than just insects as well. 10-4 man, have I ever driven a well point for water in any of the places you've lived? No. We bought this house, the well was already dug, and pretty much everywhere else I've been in my life has either been on city water or it's been on city water. So this is the first place I've been on a well. Since I've been an adult, so let's put it that way, since it's been my place. Kathleen Maddox, sweet potato leaves completely devoured. Will I still get sweet potatoes? Give them time, they'll come back, okay? Unless they were chewed off all the way down to the stem to the ground, they'll come back. KP Tiger, what causes yellow squash to stop growing after the squash itself to stop growing after 2 or 3 inches and turning soft? It sounds like you didn't have good pollination. That's what that would be. You're getting tiny little squash like this. They just weren't pollinated. That's it. It's the female flower, if you will, and it never got pollinated. A lot of times when you got your squash or your cucumbers or whatever, if you're not sure you're getting good pollination, go out, take the male flower. You can do it a couple of ways. You can get a paintbrush and rub it inside the male flower and then go rub the pollen on the female flower, or you can go take the male flower, pick it off, pull all the petals, and then just dab the male flower inside the female flower and do it that way as well. But it sounds to me like you're not getting pollination. Ehide 111, gypsy moths like my squash leaves. Again, that's going to be something that BT will take care of, so that would be my guess on that one. Lisa Lawson, ticks are so bad this year in southeast Kentucky. Are you having the same problem? We've had a little bit more in ticks. I wouldn't say they're terrible, but yeah, we have noticed. I mean, obviously the dogs have their flea and tick chew that they get once a month or whatever, but I've noticed a couple on me that I've taken off. We have found one dead on copper. So yeah, but you know, the easiest way, easiest way to get rid of ticks. First off, keep your grass, your yard, whatever it is, mowed relatively short. Okay, ticks like higher grass. Can't say anything for the woods. You go out in the woods, that's a total different animal. But for your yard, and then something I put on my yard is, it's called Eliminator. You can buy it, you know, what is it? Tick defense or something like that. It's just like putting a fertilizer in the yard, and that does great, basically killing ticks and fleas and anything like that in the yard. I put that on every 2 years, and it seems to do a good job. CJ, the Preparing Prepper, aka Preparing Prepper, Florida, New York, I'm guessing. Okay, and I'm sorry, guys, after reading that, it's no. Any seeds I can put in the ground this month? Zone 6 in New York, and what are you planning next? I just put in, for all the lima beans that were eaten, I replanted my lima beans because I lost about 2/3 of them from Roger Rabbit. I just took out my peas the other day and I planted yellow squash there, straight from seed. Okay. Now you got to understand, I have a longer grow season than you do. Okay. When my onions finish, which are probably going to be in the next week or so, probably by the 1st of July, I'm gonna try to get a late pumpkin crop in, just for the simple reason that everything else will be fine, pretty much done by the time those vines get big enough. I don't know if it'll work. Our frost date is technically Halloween, but I mean, I've had it still in the 70s by early December. So if I get a pumpkin crop, great. If I don't, it's just me using some garden space. I'm just going to take the risk. I figure, okay, if I'm out 3 pumpkin seeds, it ain't going to kill me. Everybody's still talking about bribes. Okay. CJ, the Preparing Prepper again. My mother's Spark is doing a big one in Tennessee. She mentioned getting a hold of you for it. It's in October. Okay, I have never even heard of my mother's Spark, so that's going to be news to me. Hopefully it's relatively close to, the fact that it's in Tennessee, that's great. Memphis is 8 hours from here, so, I mean, Tennessee's a relatively large state. Little Bitty, what happened to the transgenders? Are they on vacation? Frankly, I don't care. If they went on a permanent vacation, that would be fine with me. Linda Friesen, 4-year-old apple trees haven't bloomed yet. Ooh, that's late for apple trees. No, I don't have any ideas. Because apples are obviously a late season crop. You get, pick your apples in the fall, but by now it should have long since bloomed. I don't care if you're in Michigan or Washington or anywhere up north. By now you should have blooms. I don't have an answer to that one. Kitsy Witty, what's your take on the Pentagon accounting error of the $6.2 billion and why are they sending it to Ukraine instead of giving it back to the U.S.? Because that's the way Joe does things. He steals from us and gives to everybody else so he can get his 10% kickback. Because see, if Joe takes $6.2 billion and gives it back to the people, he gets nothing. If Joe gives $6.2 billion to Ukraine they can filter a whole bunch of that money back to Joe. So Joe can't steal from you if he's giving you money. Joe can only steal from you if he gives it to somebody else. Because I don't know about you, but I'm not giving Joe 10% of shit. Padraig Doherty, you mentioned all the rain. How full is the pond? Happy fish. Okay, so the shorter of the two stumps, that's what we're looking at, is probably 7 or 8 inches still out of the water. So we've probably put, I'd say, a good 8 inches of water in the pond in the last day and a half. So that's good. I still got, again, it's not back to where it was last July. Still, it's almost back to where it was last July, but we've got rid of some of the leak, and then we've had a lot of evaporation and no rain. So this is kind of getting us back to where we were. So that now then I need enough rain to get another 1.5 feet of water in there. Let's see. Educated and informed. It's a 1,000. It's a okay. It's a 1,000 degrees south of Houston. Okay, I'm lost. Okay, now what? Okay, I'm going to take a guess of this. Is supposed to say it's 100 degrees south of Houston, Texas. Should I quit trying to grow anything outside? Is there something I can do to grow more tomatoes, jalapenos, more? The jalapeno peppers love heat. Okay, I mean, I don't care if it's bell peppers, banana peppers, chili peppers, jalapenos, whatever. Peppers love the heat. No problem there. Tomatoes will be fine in the heat. Tomatoes like heat. You're just going to have to keep them well watered. But eggplants would do fine in this. I mean, there's certain things you can grow. I mean, you're not going to grow cabbage or beets or anything like that in that kind of heat. It's way too late for that. Even beans are going to struggle. But all your peppers, your tomatoes, your nightshade family should do fine in this heat. Mountaineer Mama, do I have any patches yet left? Yes, I started off the top. I have about 50 left. So if y'all want some, like I said, send me a self-addressed stamped envelope and $5 a patch. I can get 2 patches in an envelope, and I will send them out. I go to the post. I'll go to Tuesday. I'll go to the post office again on Thursday, see what's there, and then get those out. Whoops. Oh, somebody just said okra loves heat too. Yeah, I don't grow okra, but yes, you're right. Okra does love heat as well. I gotta go back up to the top here. Sorry. I find where everybody was. Here we go. Okay. We are reading The Final Day right now. Great series. Yeah, the only thing I could say I didn't like it, and I'm not going to spoil the ending too. I wasn't thrilled with the ending to the 3rd book. I think it was like, holy crap, I've written enough. I've got to wrap this up real quick. And all of a sudden you're like, what? That's it? It's over? It wrapped up too fast. So that's my only comment. Spectre, Pinball, you still need to make stickers so people driving around can identify other pinballers. Yeah, probably. If I did anything, it would probably be something different. I'm not a big fan of stickers on cars because you can't really take them off, and so yeah. If I come up with another brilliant idea, I will. So, but again, I'm not out to sell you guys merch or anything like that. It's just if I get some wild hair and think, hey, this would be cool, yeah, I'll come up with it. Definitely P. How do you get rid of Japanese beetles? The easiest way to get rid of them is to get rid of them before they hatch, okay? Because how Japanese beetles work is they lay their eggs in the gardens, and then in the fall, they will literally all hatch in a day. And I mean, we had this issue a couple of years ago here, where it looked like the swarm coming through. But get yourself, it's something that's called milky spore. And you sprinkle this around in your garden. You only have to do this once, okay? Because then it will continue to expand and grow it in the garden. And literally, the milky spore goes in and kills and eats all the eggs that are laid. I did this in 2020 because we got attacked in 2019. I'm like, I got to get this out spring of 2020. I don't have a Japanese beetle problem anymore. So, Janine Dash, hey Pinball, why don't you have any chickens? Would you consider quail? I've talked about this countless times. I can't. I'm forbidden because of the proximity I am to the lake. And so the rules and regulations where I am say that we can't have any sort of livestock or anything like that on the property because I'm too close to the lake. And obviously on the side of the mountain where it washes into the lake. So there, Norris Lake, I think, is the fourth cleanest lake in the United States, and it's the water source for 4 or 5 states. So yeah, they do whatever they can to keep it as clean as possible. They don't want to, again, they can say, well, it's just one house, but yeah, if they do it for me, I mean, there's 1,500 miles or something like that of shoreline to this lake. They allow it for one, they got to allow it for everybody, and then all of a sudden you got problems. Let's see. Carolyn Smith's Food, Forest, and Homestead sprinkled 20 Mule Team Borax on fire ants. Okay? If it works, give it a shot. I mean, borax is not that expensive. You can get it at the dollar store. So, go get yourself a little bit of borax. Try it. If it works, hey, great. Another answer. There's a perfect example of why I say watch the chat, because somebody else may have an answer when I don't have a good one. Yeah, Aqua Drop 61. The best way I found was to mix colonies of fire ants, let them battle it out. Somebody told me recently, I can't remember where I heard this. Somebody said they dug a island out, if you will, made like a donut in the dirt, and had red ants, I think it was red ants, black ants, a spider, and something else on an island. They put water around it and let them all fight it out. So, but yeah, that would probably work, mixing colonies of fire ants. So good luck. That means you got to go dig up one hill and put it on the other. That probably not going to be a whole lot of fun. Fire ants running up that shovel. I got a hair down in my eyes. That's what's bothering me. Tendrils. There we go. That was the word I was looking for. I couldn't think of it. The part of the cucumber plant. Let's see. Joe Hannon, breaking news. Pentagon finds another $18 billion they can give to Ukraine. It never ends. Of course. I wonder if it came from from Hunter. Minnesota Rebel. Did I see there was another balloon over North Dakota? Oh my God, not again. No, I did not. I mean, is this one a kid's science project, or is this one a Chinese spy balloon again? Christian Prepper, Joe doesn't cut hair, he sniffs it. There you go. Prep Rebel, Biden should have been on the sub, and so should Sparkle Socks. For tomatoes, it takes a bit of patience. Keep an eye on them and watch for changes. Yeah, I mean, don't we wish? It's like deer running through the backyard. Cindy Pez, hey Pinball, you can put unripe tomatoes in a paper bag and put in a dark place. Tomatoes will ripen I think in a week or so. You have to check them. Yeah, it's something to do with that gas that is released, and I don't know what the name of the gas is. Winona Halen, if you have spoiled cooked meat, can you add it to compost? Do not ever add anything. I know there's some people say compost everything. Okay. I'm not, I know David the Good wrote a book about it. Okay. Meat is one thing. There's a couple things you don't want to compost. Meat is one of them because you're gonna put meat in there, and you're gonna have raccoons and rats and everything in your compost. I don't think you don't think you want to attract rats to the dogs trying to get in the pantry. I don't think you want to attract rats or raccoons or something to your yard. Okay, it's like don't ever try to compost dog feces or human feces or anything. I know there's people that say you can do it. Okay, if you want to sit there and let your compost pile sit around for 4 or 5 years, go ahead. But hang on a second. Dog in the pantry. Dog's figured out how to open the door, push the door open. It's like a barn door. Yeah. Bass Ackward Universe. How much duct tape do you use to try to muffle the snores of your unnamed guest? And how much does it hurt to pull it off each morning? I don't think there is enough duct tape. Yeah. Okay. I'll make sure to mention that one later. Veronica Walker, any suggestions for getting rid of invasive vine in the yard? Without knowing what kind of vine it is, yeah, you're going to need something that's going to have to kill it all the way down to the root. I'm assuming you don't want to use something. Okay, not knowing your situation. I don't know if you have a big yard, small yard, if you talking about in the garden, in the grass, if you use your grass clippings for compost or whatever. If it's that invasive, what you could do is get some Roundup and a paintbrush and just paint a few of the leaves with some Roundup, okay? And let it die off that way. You could get something like a poison ivy killer and use that. And again, same thing, just paint it on the leaves of the vine. Kill it that way. Don't want to go in there and spray it because you're going to kill your grass. You're going to poison the lawn and everything like that. Just get a paintbrush and paint the leaf. That's going to be the best way to do it. You could try vinegar, but I don't know how strong these vines are. Like poison ivy, you're never going to kill with vinegar. You need something stronger. So, Terry Hardaway, harp and pollution problems linked. I feel like I misspelled the first word. You have 2 A's. Probably back in the pantry again. Probably they are. Oh, pollination, not pollution. Harp and pollination problems. See, I don't know. I'll give you a good one. I was out. I think I told you the other day. I was out putting some more security cameras in my backyard, and I've got a tree in the backyard that is full of honeybees. Okay, so I don't have any problem there. Now I can't say anything about weather manipulation and pollination if they're linked. I just don't know enough about it. It makes sense because the bees need the pollen because from the flowers that need the water. It's if there's no flowers, there's no pollen, therefore there's no bees. Okay, it's just it's a whole cycle. Vintage rose, can I plant at any time in the year in Florida Zone A? Depends on what you're planting. Okay. You don't want to plant cabbage in the heat of summer, and it gets cooler in Florida or whatever it is, in winter than it is in summer. You don't want to be planting tomatoes in December, and you still have seasons. You don't get snow, but you've got a very different schedule than the rest of the country for when you plant things. way down south like that, you could feasibly be harvesting some of the same things that I'm planting at the same time. The best thing I can tell you is go look at farmersalmanac.com and put your zip code in, and they will tell you the estimates of times to plant things. Now, again, it's not always correct. You've got to figure it out on your own. I've figured out here that where they say plant my cabbage in March, I actually need to be planting my cabbage in January. So, because I'm harvesting cabbage now, but they're half the size of the ones that I was harvesting a month and a half ago because it's too hot. And it's 9 o'clock. Holy crap, I didn't even look at this. All right, guys, I don't want to get into Jason, so over to Angry Prepper. It's on him. We'll see you guys in the morning. Pinball out.